Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another workshop. It's nice to see you all here. I hope you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me before we get started today. I would appreciate that. And welcome in. Now, if you're seeing me on Instagram or on Twitter, you go to my YouTube channel. It will be easier. Thank you, guys. Okay, excellent. So you can hear me. So thank you, guys. Thank you. I can see your comments. Very nice. Very nice. I'm very happy that you're able to make it for this workshop. I've had butterflies about this for days, at least for sure now. And I'm glad to just kind of get it off my plate because it is a kind of a complex video and workshop and an offering today. But we're always here to try and raise the bar and push not only me, but you to train. That's how we get our endurance levels. We have to push ourselves a little bit. So here we are again for another training. So those of you who've been with me for a few trainings may have been aware that we do these every month on the 18th. If you'd like to join this month and the next month, please see the link in my bio to my Patreon page, or just go to patreon.com/Ascension Diaries, sign up for the Guardian Training tier, and you'll get everything you need to be included in these workouts, basically. And so today we're going to quickly review just some notes, just a little bit of notes from the last month we did, which was protection. I'm going to give you the rundown of what we're going to work on today. I'm going to speak a little bit, show you a little slideshow, and then we're going to go into a message from Mozart, because the last workshop we had other performance artists basically come through. We'll talk about that in a second. And this month, it seemed like that theme had come through again. I didn't mean for that to happen. A few different beings kind of walk through. I'll talk about that later. And more so, yeah, this is more than just luck. It's interesting. The controversy around St. Patrick as well is something we're going to speak about today in this workshop. We're also going to do a little bit of movement. So before I lose all of you, let's do a little movement together. So just to open up the video before I get into it a little deeper, take a deep breath with me, please. Clasp your hands in front of your heart. Breathe out. We're going to be working on the heart space today. So I'm going to have you tap the area a little bit just to get it to wake up. If you need to use your fists, just kind of bang on it a little bit. Get those energies moving. So as you can see behind me and around me, the green energy was the biggest energy that came up this month, obviously, and for many, many, many good reasons. That's also the heart chakra energy. So I'm going to have you keep tapping on your chest for a little bit longer, because I know some of us have been a little stagnant. So we got to make sure that we're also working the muscles that help you breathe in and out. And sometimes when you're not moving enough, the muscles that help you breathe out get weaker because it's easier to breathe out than it is to breathe in. So those muscles will atrophy. So you have to keep going on walks that push you to actually a sweating point and beyond, doing bike rides and jumping jacks and so on. That was a big message today, just to keep those hearts moving and open and safe, but not straining yourself, doing the similar amount and slightly greater every time, which is what we do here on the workshops. We do a little more. We push the boundaries of people a little more every workshop. Not everyone is familiar with myself. My name is Alexis. I'm a psychic medium. You can schedule me for a psychic medium reading at ascensiondiaries.com. I am in contact with regular people who are getting readings for themselves about their family lineages, which involves lots of different countries, lots of different timelines, lots of different traumas. And I have all of the equipment, I would say, to do a decent reading for anyone interested in learning that about themselves or digging into that a little more about themselves. I've yet to have any sort of, I would say, obtuse reactions or like completely like all misses, you know what I'm saying, with the session. So I'm confident enough to continue offering that service because it's a lot of fun. And I believe I have a really good system down. So please check out the website for that. But in the meantime, while I do this work, let's say the volunteer work is half of the fun, if not most of the service that I do is all volunteering and kind of showing up to what needs to be done in the community. And that's why I do once a month workshops to kind of culminate all that energy and help sort of stamp the lessons and the medicines that I've gathered that month and gather them and stamp them in time and create something valuable with a team of people who are now following me and supporting me via Patreon. So shout out to you guys. I hope you see your names scrolling beneath me, supporting me through this workshop. And then there is the unknown names, the names of all of these, I would say known names actually, of historical figures that also walk through your readings, now my personal life, and now this channel and these workshops, basically these spirit guides, I would say, of Earth, who are present and are making themselves present to me for supporting these workshops. So I'm kind of merging all my worlds together now with my abilities. It was all a little bit chunky for a second, but now I'm seeing all of the highways merge together, and we're all working together to kind of strengthen those who are walking the earth alive, and those who were once walking the earth are offering help and support to help us fulfill our dreams, basically. And luck is a huge part of that. And I'm going to get into that concept from the perspective, again, from some people who may have been seen as very lucky in their careers, or to be born innately with skills that are better than other people's. That's the sort of luck that we're going to get into, is that born innate skills, and how that can go in both directions is sort of the lesson, I would say, that was coming through the biggest. Was you may be born very lucky to have certain skills, like perhaps being a very talented pianist or violinist, for example, as in Mozart's case, and how people have been exploited, even if they are actually very lucky and fortunate to have certain skills, which we've seen in many, many, many occurrences. And I don't know if you were present for our last workshop, so let's get into that really quick. So the last workshop was protection, was the theme. We had some celebrities come in to basically speak about, don't try and pursue being famous. Don't try and be better than everyone else. Don't try and win those contests, because you're just the winning farm animal in on the, like, what, in the state fair or whatever. Like, you're the winning animal in the state fair. The Olympics, same deal. It was like, you need to be protecting of yourself. You're supposed to be humble and not, not even tossing other people below or under the bus to try and get ahead of them, stealing their content or stealing their style, but to get a leg up, all this stuff. There was codes about protecting ourselves against that, and how on the public level there was going to be disclosures about the celebrities that were bamboozled, I would say, and were not protected or given the skills of protection in time before they made contracts or so on, or met the wrong type of people in the entertainment industry, which is the industry of influence over the minds of humanity, of our planet. So it's important. It's an important space. It's highly controlled, and the protection factor was very much needed. And for people like myself who put themselves out there in order to teach, in order to share, in order to offer new and exciting kind of products, to hybridize ideas, and again, like I said, push the limits, push the envelope of what makes people comfortable in public settings to talk about, which it will be uncomfortable in a way to watch me try and interpret what Mozart is literally going to try and say. And people who've watched People Channel before, I've been uncomfortable watching People Channel. It's weird. So I try and make it chill. I've done some of the framework already beforehand to kind of get some context to why Mozart was relevant for this topic of luck. And he is quite an interesting character, is all I have to say. Like, what a personality. And a lot of these celebrities are like that. They have lots of charisma, personality. They get their punches in, especially after they've been in the industry a little while. They start really giving it back a little bit. And again, it's from a naivety because the people they're hurting are then also older than them and have progressed in the game even farther. So it's just like the young ones scrapping against the old ones with all these manipulation tactics and so on. But we're going to get into that. So protection, we're protected. We dealt with it. If you want to watch that, please join my Patreon. And that is available on there to rewatch. Enjoy. We're going to tap on the heart again to just kind of continue with that movement for this workshop. We're going to pound and keep the heart chakra and the chest open because the information is plentiful and I have to keep the channel flowing as well because it's been kind of like ganging up on me a couple times today. I've just had like moments before this call. Even I was just like gripping the walls, like I don't want to do this anymore, which is so not like me. So I was like, okay, something about today's workshop is going to be new. It may be a little dense, what I'm going to be bringing up. It may push you again and make you question some things. But I'm just a girl out here at the end of the day. Don't worry about too much about what I'm saying. This is totally optional and it is for fun. It's all about trying to find the nuggets of wisdom that all of these people have left behind or have plucked the strings of in your own life through synchronicity. And I'm going to try and weave that in. So if you have a personal connection to Mozart in this life, I want you to call upon that now. Again, I want you to keep punching on your chest, honestly, gently, of course. Don't actually bruise yourself, but just keep getting, and with your fingertips too, kind of like tapping the area, keeping these muscles all the way up to your neck, keeping those muscles in this area kind of stimulated. And again, recall your Mozart connection. Okay. I'm going to keep trying to weave this in. So luck is one of those cursed words. It's a very tricky word. And when I was tapping in and trying to talk about it this year versus last year I touched on this. But for sure, especially with people who are talented and who are born with this lucky ability to do something other people can't do, that's what continues to come up. So let's just call upon that in our own lives as the exercise of your own, this is the training. So we're going to be fortifying your understanding of luck and your own luck. So think about it for a second. What is something that you were good at that you didn't have to try, and other people would often be jealous of it or point it out like, hey, you're really good at that? Did that ever happen to you? Perhaps that hasn't happened to you. It may not be exactly your thing, but you may have witnessed somebody who you saw that within them. And so if it wasn't you and you can't think of something, I really want you to try, because this is about knowing the self. The training is about knowing the self. We should all have a little something, something. That's the game. So if you're really stuck and you can't find something that you were lucky to be born with, okay, then let's think about someone you thought was very lucky. And we did do this last year a little bit, but instead of, last year we encouraged you to see other people's luck and fortune as your own in order to continue welcoming that energy and that spirit into your life, which I hope you've continued doing. But now we're going to get a little bit nittier and grittier. We have to this year because, again, all of those celebrities, so many of them I talked about last month, they've all been brought up in court cases and publicly talked about because the court cases about these people are being distributed publicly right now. And it happened after the workshop, a lot of it too. It was all of the energy was leading up to it. So after this workshop, what's going to happen with Ireland, with Mozart? We're going to keep our eyes on that. With music in general, music composition, operas as well. And again, the continued exposure of lucky people being exploited by people who are extremely jealous and have not been able to see their own luck and utilize and create a feeling of wholeness through what they were born with the innate skill. Ironically, maybe your innate skill, your very God-given innate skill, the only thing that you are is being able to exploit other people's innate skills. And that's probably just like one person scooting around on the earth, because there's just such a variety of options out there of a life. Why have so many of that? So in my opinion, that's the direction I'm going with that theoretical, this space we're creating to approach this topic. So you're thinking about your skill, you're thinking about what you are lucky to be born with. Okay, so I want you to write that down so we can do a journaling with that later on yourself. So this is a know thyself section. And if you need to tap into that a little harder, I want you to start tapping on your chest again and keep bringing that energy to the surface. What is my divine innate thing that I was lucky to be born with? That what is it that people saw in me that they were even potentially envious of because they thought I was so lucky to have this thing, this innate thing? Whatever it is, I feel very lucky to have my sense of humor. I'll be honest with you. But that's you could probably write a whole page of things, and it matters, to an extreme. Maybe you've thought about this a lot, and maybe you're like, oh, Alexis, I'm way ahead of you. I already know all these things. I repeat them to myself every day, and I tell every person I meet all of these things about myself. And to me, I would say, again, you would probably be a very small percentage of the population type of person. That may be a person who perhaps is a little less curious about other people's luck and their abilities, but more so focused on your own. So the trick is to know your treasures, but also be able to see the treasures in others. And this comes from an artistic perspective. We didn't have any like specific painters come through, but I was getting a lot of painting energy. I'm a painter, so maybe it was just me, but I have painting energy for some reason. I must have a past life as a painter because people gift me paints. I've been painting all my life. I get plucked or placed down in painting classes all the time. I'm all right. I do okay at painting. And I love painting because it makes looking at the world different, because you will see a person's face and you won't just be like, oh, that's an ugly person, or that's a 5 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10 person, or whatever it is, the scales that we measure people and their worth or their beauty. But as a painter, it's totally different the way you look at people's faces. And this is the luck in a way that you're born with innately as well. We can swing this in, is that the colors and the angles and the shapes and the textures of your face, of your hair, are more what we look at. And it's more because we want to challenge ourselves to recreate it with a paintbrush. It's more like we've trained our minds to look at things in a way that makes sense for translating it into acrylic paint or oil. I did acrylic oil paint and mixing specific tones and colors like burgundies and coppers and greens and blues. And I could go into more of the names, but I hope you know what I mean. We see things differently and see people's faces and their beauty and their clothing and their style a lot differently. It's more about intrigue of uniqueness, I would say, when there is something fresh, like a color combination that you don't see very often. That's what piques our interest and makes us stare a little longer. And that sort of color combination that's unique, that's kind of the innate energy I'm hoping to instill in you today as well, is that unique color combination. And aura photography was one thing that was coming up. I don't know if you've tried it, but having your aura photographs is very fun. But I would like to do it over a month of time through a whole moon cycle to see how, again, my color palette kind of changes underneath my skin and in my aura. It would be very interesting. As a scientist, I would very much like to do that study. And it's because there would be a pattern. You wouldn't go extreme. I would assume your aura would be decently somewhat the same color most of that month, but maybe not. And I haven't seen that. I haven't seen a study about that. So maybe one day out of the month, you go opposite color and no one knows unless you take that measurement or whatever. But this unique color, this unique luck, this unique ability is something that Mozart and I want to bring up. So I think now is an appropriate time to bring up the Mozart message. It seems to be what's like wants to come to the surface. So today, today, today I was introduced to a few things about Mozart because I am little background on myself. I don't have musical training. Like I said, I have painter's training and photography training in the arts. That's kind of the direction I went. I didn't do anything drama related or music related. Sports and art was more my thing. So I don't understand musicians very well. I've had to kind of come at it later in life. And again, I mostly appreciate them in a way that I'd paint them, you know, like, ooh, when they do this pose or when they sing like that, that's so uniquely them. That's the photograph. That's the painting I would do of them. You know what I mean? That's how my brain works. These musicians, though, they think differently than I do. And I believe more so than I can even describe. And that's another part of it. I think that they are so unique that they are truly sought after because of the intelligence that they are tapping into by being musicians. I think that is a unique brainwave state. I'm assuming it has to do with the alpha brainwave state where you get into that meditative. Even there's even a Michael Jackson clip going around about how the singing puts you in a mantra state and an alpha brainwave state. He was explaining this in like a studio after all of his surgeries and everything, and he looks like a stranger. But whoever that was saying good things at that time, still getting them in trouble and so on. But these musicians, their brains, their spirit, it speaks in a different way. So with Mozart's case, I was realizing I was introduced to him when I went to university and around 2011, right? 2011, I took a first year university music history class. I had to. And I took this class and I sat in one of the oldest buildings in my city. I've done the research now, and it was built around the time of Mozart's life. That's all lining up. So I was in this building that was built in my hometown that was made with a huge organ built in. And it was specifically made to bounce the sound of this organ. And in this building, we studied the history of music. And I went and looked today at this building, and there is a spire coming out the back of it where the concert would be on stage. Above them, out the top of the building, is a spire. So, like a space for the energy to go up and out of. And I found that today. I found the area where I was taught first about Mozart's abilities, and including with the harpsichord. I didn't even know what a harpsichord was at the time. And Mozart was pretty talented at pretty much any sort of piano, organ, harpsichord sort of instrument, but also violins, which was interesting. So very in a musical genius, basically. So I have some words, and I have a little page for Mozart about all of this. And this is just what needed to come through and to bring luck. And so just listen about Homie. He wants to give you some context about his life first, and then kind of give you that understanding about the double-edged sword of luck is kind of what I want to say, or like the way luck can be used against you and luck can be used for you. And that is sort of the biggest message of today's workshop. And just giving this historical context for you to study. And then I'm going to push in a few more things at the end. So again, this building that I learned about this musical style and more into this more highty-tighty high society musical regality that was in society. I learned about this a while ago, and it was during a time of my own maturation into womanhood. Like it was just that potent time in my life. So I was actually quite distracted in this class because this room that they had built for this organ had been built and I could feel the energy. It was like pulling me out of my body all the time. I couldn't stay in my body. I couldn't focus like I usually could in class. So I just got distracted and kind of flowed with whatever and did my best to pay attention. But I assume the room was built for that sort of state of being. And I believe that's kind of a state of being that musicians also enter into naturally when they begin playing music or when they begin thinking of what they're going to play and so on. This sort of it is almost like a hypnotic state, or in this mantra state, which if you've ever done mantras, they do put you in that hypnotic state pretty quick. So this is the 1760s, like up to like 1795 kind of energy in history. So this is a long time ago. But this isn't the only ancient thing that wanted to come through for this workshop, because big deals about luck in the green and the luck of the Irish. And yesterday was St. Patrick's Day. And then this whole controversy about St. Patrick themselves and who came before St. Patrick and what was going on the lands of Ireland or in that area long before then. And why I would say why we care about this area so much. There is some very ancient universal truths, I would say, that are in the lands there. And there is a deep controversy about, I would say, all of the religious, mythical, historical facts about these lands. It's deep and tricky. But in the 1760s, when Mozart was waddling around basically after his father, basically Mozart's family was already in the royal music scene. Mozart's father was a pianist for the Salzburg, Austria Archbishop. And I've been to Salzburg. That's kind of the second node where I connected with this energy. Back in 2014, I went to Salzburg. It was there was so much heat there that the cabs were not driving us anymore. All of our stuff got canceled. We were basically stranded there for a little while because it was too hot. But back in the day, little Mozart was born to a man who was already in the group. So he's being taught piano. He starts being shown that he has a great talent. He's a lucky boy, he's luckily born in the family that's already performing for the royals, basically, professional musician, born of that blood, becomes even more impressive, a rare genius, they called him, and they called him universal and miraculous as well, with some words. And I took some notes from the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. They do a festival for Mozart. And one of the professors, Catherine Libin, was doing this whole report about him. And I picked up these pieces that were important. It was whenever I got a ding about it, it was like, okay, this piece is important. This piece is important. So Salzburg, important. Obviously, very interesting too. So luckily, you're a very talented young child, right? Lucky you. Lucky you. We already have the fast track to put you with an audience with literal royals and entertain them with our little tiny kid, because we're already in the business of entertaining them. I don't even know if it was consensual. Who knows? They just conveniently scooped up the opportunity to carry on the legacy with who was already working there at the time. Like, it's fantastic when you can have legacy staff entertaining you. Keep it in the family. That's very normal, in my opinion, for royalty to kind of behave with their staff. Is keeping them, generationally keeping them in servitude. And I believe there was, even though there was this fancy and charismatic energy to the child when he was being touted around as this special talent, it was obvious to me, even with the paintings they made of this kid when he, back in the day, he's standing proudly when they brought him to Vienna, which is, I guess, one of the first places they brought him from Salzburg was to Vienna. And Vienna to meet the Empress Maria Theresa and then her daughter Marie Antoinette before she was married off to in France. They brought Mozart there, and he played his little talent, and they were so happy. They were like, "All right, off you go to Paris," and they sent him off to Paris. And then he played the organ in Versailles, the Palace of Versailles, which is a pretty huge deal. That is some major medicine and energy medicine to bring to that place. So he's going and he's literally playing frequency music that he's channeling in a way that he's channeling the ability to create. The timing is perfect. You know what I mean? It's flowing. The piece is flowing out of him. He's playing this music in these palaces, which are built on grid points, which are made in points of power on purpose. This child. Okay. I hope it's building. I hope this is starting to build. So if you're going, oh, this reminds me of this young child celebrity. Oh, it reminds me of this young child celebrity. This is kind of the direction I want your brain to keep going while I continue explaining Mozart's life. See if this sounds familiar. So off he goes to Paris, plays in Versailles. He's only 7 years old. He's only 7 years old. And he's playing for the members of the court because it's a kind of it's a remote hierarchy at the time there in Paris. So there's members of the court there. And he actually dedicates one of the songs he plays to Madame Victoire, the member of the court, apparently. And then there he goes to he goes to London right after that and goes and sees King George III and Queen Charlotte and begins creating actual music at that time. So he starts writing his own stuff and makes sonatas for the Queen of England. And then he runs into, basically, he's in London amongst all of these other artists, and he takes a liking, it seems like, to the Italians. And when they're making operas and arias and symphonies and so on. So he began making arias and symphonies and getting into opera, which was interesting. So he's kind of being paraded around. So if you look at pictures of him, like I said, when he's little, you can see him. He's in Vienna, his first kind of show out. They're like, look at our talented kid. The Empress is happy. The future Queen of France is happy. He's got his fancy little outfit on. He's by a piano. They paint his picture. He looks charismatic, happy as heck. He's feeling lucky. He's feeling special. You can see it. You can see it in his posture. But then if you keep looking up pictures of him being painted as he's moved along his journey and entertained a few royals in their court, you can see the energy starting to diminish in the paintings of this kid. And then after, when he starts to begin to age, they actually he had struggle and he began to have to begin to kind of reform because it was like his luck had run out when his cute cherub, when his novelty wore off, it feels like a little bit. And they were permitting him private concerts in Paris. Like you weren't even allowed to play music in Paris unless you had specific permissions and so on. Like he was getting this very established, or what's the word, like very esteemed offerings to play music when he was this child. But once that sort of wore off, it feels like that he struggled a little bit. Historically, that's kind of what I found. But it was interesting, the pieces of music that he was still producing through that time. And so took a liking again, like I said, into Rome and Milan and their opera and their liturgical music and their chamber music. And he began doing more string quartets as a violinist. But the piece that was basically brought to my attention, other than the fact that the harpsichord was a very important tool a very important magical tool, I would say. The words harpsichord magic came through me. I've never heard such a thing. I have no reason to kind of make those claims, and I'm not meaning to, but that was what came up. Again, those are those things that I read in between the lines, like, okay, there it is, harpsichord magic. I've never heard of that. Let's go with it. The opera that Mozart brought to me while I was doing all this pre-work before we kind of get into like the live channeling, which I'm nervous to do, but we'll see because a little bit controversial. But basically, the opera they wanted us to know about and study when it comes to the terms of luck and fortune and favor, these themes, was the Marriage of Figaro, which is, or the Marriage of the Barber, basically, which is an Italian opera. It's in Italian. I watched people performing this. I watched half of it. It's a 3-hour long thing, opera, and I found it on YouTube, but I watched half of it, the first half, but I got the gist of it. I've looked up the jot notes, but basically this was his, I would say this was the message. Okay. I'm not a historian on the guy and I don't have any family claims, but I've been to his statue in Salzburg. I've been to where he used to play. I've been in where he's walked. It's interesting. So I've brushed shoulders with the man. I've been in a lot of the buildings. Like I went to the palace in Vienna that he went to first. I went to the Palace of Versailles. I have not gone to London though. I didn't go there. But this opera was basically a big, this is what I got, was like it was a big FU kind of energy to the establishment, to the royals of France. So I think the French were the ones that corrupted his spirit, is kind of what I got, which doesn't surprise me. So this is what I've gotten multiple times with celebrities, is that you get lucky the first preview and you get to make a little music, have a little fun, feel on top of the world. And then when you think you're safe and you're getting to go on the next leg up, you're getting to take the next step up, that's when they get you. That's when they tear you down. That's the best, because it's like the biggest betrayal. It's the biggest unexpected momentum. And that's how it just comes up so often. So you'll see a band or a musician or an artist do their first album, their first movie, their first art gallery, their first performance, whatever it is, their first TED Talk, their first graduation speech, their first year of a TV show, something like that, the first thing. And so the first thing I think for Mozart was going to Vienna, where seemed like he was received well and it seemed like he was chill and he was there with his family. And it was local. They loved him, it's their local royals. So they were happy. And then they were like, you're so great. Off you go to people who don't favor you as much. The French over here. See how you do. And they did the same thing to Marie Antoinette just a few years later. Put her over there and dropped her off in France, and then she got killed. So their lives intertwined. And I saw the Marie Antoinette movie recently, and I recently watched another period piece with Queen Charlotte herself, who Mozart mixed with, and they brought up Mozart in both of those films, or in both of those period pieces as well. So it's like Mozart was a huge, it's like the memories now want to recall Mozart, which is interesting. So it's like there's this constant flame of his energy for a reason. And he's not the only composer, creator who's like that, but it's this luck, I believe, that he has, that he's been able to overcome. And he was lucky, I think, to be able to get away with the Marriage of Figaro opera in general, and how that was allowed to happen was very, Like that is the moment, you know what I mean? That's kind of where everything goes fuzzy. So I don't know. I didn't even look deeper into his history because that's all I got was that was all I could take because it was just it was a lot. I was realizing a lot of stuff meditating before this video. But so yes. So if you're unfamiliar with this opera, this is the premise. Again, and I heard that they tried to make it was fashioned after a French play, and it was meant to represent the French royalty, but instead they had to switch a few things and say it was from a faraway place in Spain that this particular play takes place. But it was opened in France and very popular because, again, everyone related to the nonsense. Setting is, I believe, some sort of count. He's a count, and there is this authority figure who has some sort of title. Back then, that was the big rage. You had to have a title, so you were allowed to have land, and then people worked for you and lived on your land and lived in your property. And those people were considered a second-class citizen to you. And there was a ton of abuse that happened historically in that, and it happens. It's a psychological thing. So making those classes causes those types of human behaviors because we're not actually supposed to act like that. So, anyways, it causes like literal mental breakdowns and like negative mutations. It's like, it's not good. So, anyways, back in the day when this was more common and more black and white in a way where it was like you have your master and you live in your house and blah, blah, blah. Homie was a count. He has his property. There is a barber and a maid and a page boy and his wife, I believe, are the characters. And he's basically trying to figure out a way to get the barber and the maid who are in love, get them separated by hiring them as different positions and separating them so he can basically separate the man from the woman so he can attack the woman and take her. And I'm not going to be violent about it, but this is a script that happens a lot and was a problem that's happening a lot with men and women in the servant class where these royals were coming and basically taking them and abusing them because it's just a perpetuation of the abuse that they received and the trapped feelings they have from being placed in these positions and being treated different. It really does mess with people's minds. So all I'm going to say, it's not healthy. And we can go into that more in a bit. But the point is that there was this effort, this deliberate effort to try and separate a couple that was working for this count. And it was being thwarted, basically. They were able to thwart his efforts by getting married before he could force them to take these other roles, like one be the secretary and one be like, I think it was like his right hand man and being sent off for duties in other cities while he stays home to prey on this woman. And so they trick this count into and exposing him and he gets married and so on. But basically the big winner line that was written in, like I said, is written, I believe it's in Italian, and Mozart spoke 13 languages. I looked it up today. I was like, can Mozart even channel in English? I know he's from Austria. Like, how many languages does he got? He must speak English. And it was like, yes, he speaks actually 13 languages, maybe not fluently, but I think of those of you who want to tap into him internationally, he is a universal kind of spirit guide for Earth. He speaks a lot of languages, so you might be able to get better contact. This isn't the case for those Los Angeles celebrities. He's another, he's a classy guy. He was trained in many things and could speak with queens and kings in their court when he was 7 years old. Like, that's some talent. He's an interesting and upstanding citizen potentially, but his big FU back to them was this line, and oh shoot, here, let me get it. It's right here. I didn't write it down, but I loved it. And I believe was the big message, just like off the fly, that I wanted to send you home with than what Mozart, I think, wanted to send you home with all of his efforts. But yeah, it tells how the servants Figaro and Susanna succeeded in getting married, foiling the efforts of their philandering employer, Count Almaviva, to seduce Susanna and teaching him a lesson in fidelity. The Marriage of Figaro, opera by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, early 19th century. Okay, so his line was, "If you want to dance, my dear Lord Count, my guitar will play the tune." I feel like I gotta like say that with more like swagger. I'm sorry, but like it's like if you want to dance, my guitar will play the tune. So you want to dance, but it'll be my music that you're dancing to. Does that translate now? Are you getting that translation? It was a little tricky, but I really loved the line. And so it was just this effort by the the barber, by Figaro, to say, I'm going to find out your secrets. You're no longer, you can't pretend in front of me anymore. I will overturn all your screaming or your scheming. All these schemes you're making, I'm going to overturn them. If you want to dance, dear Lord Count, my guitar will play the tune. So that was the big, like, boom, like mic dropper that hit me today. And it, again, I got chills. And I'm unfamiliar with all of this artwork. I had to really, it just kind of, I gave it right up until the last second, and I said, okay, we're going to look into Mozart and see if there's anything I need to know. And this is the direction I got led. So I would encourage you to, it has a good lesson more for adults, I would say, this opera, because she does, it is about a person trying to basically take advantage of a woman without her consent. It's a non-consensual attack on a woman from somebody of authority, which is just like two levels of assault. Like it's extremely inappropriate and very common in society, and something that we're doing a lot of effort societally to fix and correct. And in 1760s and so on, that kind of stuff was still kind of tossing around because there was less cell phone cameras, there was less security cameras back then. There was less need to keep each other accountable because it was very hard to maintain evidence on people. It was a lot of just chit chat. A lot of people got killed over a lot of chit chat, and a lot of people got killed to stop them from chit chatting. And that sort of has kind of come to a halt just recently, but it's still it's still a little tricky, but so far it has come to a halt, and we have moved past that lip, and we're very lucky. We're very lucky to live in that world. We're lucky to be aware and that these messages have made their way out from these operas, and these lessons have been instilled in this understanding and this depth of maturity about authority and about perceived authority and the dangers of it. There is a Netflix show that just came out called Damsel. I did not watch it, but it came out this month. And there's a few big movies that came out this month that are manipulative when it comes to divine right and marriage and regal abuse. And I've been doing a lot of research about that this month, like a ton. And the social dynamics of trying to keep your land and trying to not be a spinster and like keep your titles and all this stuff, the way people used to think about marriage and land and trading back then. It was heartless. A lot of it ended up being very heartless. And this theme, it doesn't need to repeat itself. We are moving out of these dark ages. We are becoming more aware. We all have a camera phone and know to start recording when a conversation starts getting too violent. We know to start taking pictures of license plates when things start feeling funny to you. We know find my iPhone like when someone takes your wallet or whatever. Like we have these things now, and we have these fail safes and so on to protect ourselves. And that was last month's workshop, but there's also a lot to say when it comes to being lucky. There's a lot to say when you put yourself in situations to get lucky. You can increase your odds of becoming lucky by where you place yourself. And you can increase your odds of good luck by the environmental factors you surround yourself with. So the biggest message for this channel is always about uplifting humanity. And I only want to work with people, spirit or historically or personally, who have a heart, who have some self-awareness, and who want to uplift humanity. So this is about taking the opportunities you're given and making the best out of them. And this will increase your opportunities to become luckier in other ways, other than your innate lucky ability, which again, we talked about, isn't always for everyone to know about, and perhaps isn't for your parents to parade you around as a child showing it off. Because let's be honest, the history of parading talented children around to adults with authority has not been very good. Doesn't make kids feel very lucky, and they're very unlucky in that sense, that to be born with the skill, they are then in a deeply unfavorable position when they are being sat in front of these very powerful, bloodthirsty people who are at the top of their game and actively competing for countries. It's just a different brain. It's a different mindset. And I believe that somehow he survived that environment, Mozart, enough. But I was also made aware that he lost children. And a friend of mine has more history and awareness of him and knows about the fact that he's lost children before he passed away, which is a difficult situation, but was able to kind of keep his spirits up, which was good, and uplift humanity still with his skill, and still was able to keep intact, I feel like, what he was so lucky to have and have show when he was a young child up until he was old and moved on. He was lucky to have music. He was lucky to have this innate skill, even when other people tried to, what's the word? Come on. What's the word? When they're trying to take advantage of you, they're trying to capitalize on your skill. The bad luck will kind of fall on them eventually. And I think that's what all of this disclosure is coming out now about, all of these record labels and those who set up these record labels, and who was abusing who and who was using their power to abuse who. This is continuing to come out. And so I believe that some people will think that what they were born with, what they once felt lucky to have, may be a curse to them as well. And they may feel cursed, and they may curse this lucky thing, or they may curse this moment where they had luckily, there's people who've won the lottery and then cursed the fact that they've done it because it ruined their lives, because their family went crazy and began making all these demands on them and for this money, and it corrupted them, and it corrupted their hearts, and it made nothing seem enjoyable anyways. So they didn't feel lucky. And this happens. It does. And I know it happens. I'm not trying to show you something you don't know. It's just like bringing in these concepts is really important for this topic. I just want to say, I think, okay, so here's the message is coming through. So this is interesting. Here's the message from Mozart. The best I can. This is what I'm getting. Those of you whose hearts have been waning from your true flame and your true flair, I want to say, that flare, that flame, that ability. You know what I mean? That pizzazz, that spark, that thing you can do that makes people turn their head, that makes people want to try it. That is who you are. And that cannot be bought, it cannot be sold, and it cannot be traded. There is a unique, universal message in your frequency, in your aura, in your colors, in your personal palette. Oh, many people have left their mark on this world with this skill they were able to master and utilize to uplift humanity, to show humanity what at least one of them was capable of, so it may again inspire the next thing. And all of us who had talent were once inspired by those who had talent and were brave enough to show it. We were lucky, we felt, to run into these talented people, even though many were tortured at the time because of their talents, because it made it so hard to be a normal gentleman or woman of the time. It was pushing you to innovate, to be the new, and that happens now. It is not new, and it is new. The pressure you feel from society to conform has always been there to try and snuff your flame and stop innovation out of the hands of those who have worked so hard to hide in their castles. They don't even have the best acoustics. These people have no idea what they're missing, but they're desperately hungry to find it. And we weep for them and we hope for them that they will find their spark within. It does not have to be grand or special. It just has to be theirs so they know who they are. I am not that special, but I have many lessons from my recorded history. And as you know, there are many things that are not recorded about my life and about the lives of people I know and worked with who we will never know their names because of what happened to them. And this is again very common and is happening again in the industry as we see it today. Many people are joining hands in prayer and in the heavens to support each other as this information is released. There is information from even my time and beforehand about what mispractices and abuses have happened. And it is annoying to have to go over all of this now, but it is part of what the earth is healing. And these buildings still stand and these statues still stand of us. And the truth must be known. And there are liars to this very day who try and close your minds and stop the conversations. And I want you to see them for what they are. They are afraid. They're afraid of losing power. They're afraid of the attention not being on them. They are narcissistic. It's okay to see a person for who they are as a colicky child, hoping and slamming their fists and throwing a fit to get the attention. But they will cry themselves to sleep and will start again in the morning. You do not need to shrink yourself to these beings. You must rise and be the example of compassion and of maturity. There is too many, like the Count in that opera, who believe that they can do whatever they want because they were never given a challenge. Some people feared challenging them, and it made them tyrannical. It made their ability to understand the world skewed because they were never challenged. I believe humanity is meant to for friendly competition and compassionate challenge to each other's ideas, so we may continue innovating the smartest thing and the most careful and caring things for all of us. You are very lucky to be living in these times. And I know there are problems, but please see how lucky you are. Compared to what we were seeing and dealing with, we could not fathom the luxuries and potentials you have now to share your music, to share your voice, to speak and be heard in the same realms as those with positions of power, with families of influence on these open spaces online. And the protection of these spaces is important. And I think that is a big part of the conversation for the rest of this month, is the protection of these spaces for creators and not allowing history to repeat itself. We can be very much in fortune and get great luck if we, I want to say, band together and choose that we want free creative license and free access to each other across the world, so we may uplift humanity, raise the standards of all of our behavior, and expect better from our mutual creations. Okay, very nice. So, ooh, that was what I got from that. And so, with that being said, there was the follow up information about St. Patrick. And yesterday I saw some footage about St. Patrick and the history of his intentions in Ireland and what he was doing. And it was funny because it went viral, of course, the day of St. Patrick's Day. It wasn't as informative or warning people ahead of time. And it was released from I would say, a company that I have been deeply engaged with as part of my awakening, and also deeply disengaged with for its lack of, I want to say, trustworthiness. So this drama came through saying that St. Patrick was brought to the land to purge the other religions, basically, from the land and replace it with Christianity or Catholicism. And it's funny because that was just it was said with such authority, this statement, and with such matter of factness, and it went viral. But it's not what I had researched. That's not what I had researched weeks before. At the beginning of this month, I was like, I have to understand St. Patrick's story, because that's who I was feeling was very important for this month, and it was something I needed to know. So I started looking into Celtic gods, Druid gods, and this sort of religious practices and pagan rituals, Druid rituals that were happening in Ireland at that time, Ireland-ish area, and how St. Patrick was actually, they say he was Roman, but he was from the British area. And I read that he was kidnapped young, like, Mozart's age. He was kidnapped young. He was brought to Ireland as a slave to work the land. And he began praying a lot and found his way to able to jump on and get onto someone else's ship and get back eventually. Like, he finagled his way back onto a ship and was able to get back to Britain. But on the way, they got like really lucky. They got really lucky and ran into a whole pack of like wild boars when they were hungry. Him and this crew, they were able to feed and like return home like with this great victory in a way. He was able to, by praying to God in a way, in a more Christian way, and not in the pagan way, but just like the monotheistic one spirit, he was praying. And even the sailors he was with, it was said that they were like, we were praying to our pagan gods and nothing's working. We need to find food, and please pray to your God. And they found the food, they hunted it and whatever. So that's the story. The story is he was kidnapped, brought to Ireland. He was able to stow his way out of there, and he saved a whole crew by praying to God. Then became studied, I think, in the practice more of basically, I think, this Christian mysticism potentially, because he never got formally sainted by the church. He wasn't exactly, this research I was doing was saying he wasn't exactly anything, but he was determined to go back to Ireland and basically deal with the area that he was living in against his will and bring God to the land and bring God to the people. And what I read was that some of the areas where he was breaking up rituals or doing his own ceremonies and celebrations next door to or in the same areas to certain pagan rituals, which were sacrificing to the god of blood and carnage and rituals like that, and the pagan and druidic gods. And there is a lot. If you I wasn't raised like that. I was raised in like the 90s Hallmark holiday Christianity sort of veneer of life. And I've just recently begun to study any sort of rituals or any sort of weird behavior that would be taboo. But now there's people who do these rituals all the time, and it's not taboo in their sects or in their villages. But overall, I think they know it's taboo. But these rituals are not always the best. And some of them are pretty brutal. And I believe that history has not been exactly fair to the account of these things because they are still happening. So they don't want to talk about it. Does that make sense? And this is common with other religions. And this has been coming out. You saw the guys coming out of the sewers in New York. Okay. You saw them. That was just a taste. And in a way, it was almost a godly act of them, even if they were faking it, to even if they had to, sacrifice themselves to make a public exposure about these potential tunnels under other synagogues that were maybe doing worse things, and they put themselves out there to make us aware that this was even a part of the religion. You know what I'm saying? Like there is these moments where there's a revelation of these things happening in secret, and these like little clubs of pain, these little nodes, these little cancerous tumors in society, really, like these self-harming organelles like that gather up. And this is the impression that I got through the research of St. Patrick, was that he was brought there, he saw the rituals they were doing, it was not resonating, and was able to break his way out of there, do more study of God, and then come back and kind of teach. And I didn't go into fully everything, but I know that where he lays to rest is an important area in Ireland. And the day that he sort of became performing and became like a public figure was kind of his starting point. And St. Patrick, it means father. Patris means father. So it's just like a fatherly saint, a fatherly energy. It's not even meant to be. That's not even his real name. But if you see a picture of him, he's a very etheric looking being. Like he looks, it's not human like. He looks a little more than human. And the pictures of him, and it does kind of check out. And I've been noticing about people, again, as an artist, I notice everything, all the different types of features. It's like I can mix and match features. I every time I see a new arrangement of a feature, I'm like, oh, and the new lines, like so exciting. So the 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 story about St. Patrick, I believe, is threatening to these older religions that are trying to go under the radar, that are now being called paganism, are now being called what is that, naturalism, or like uh I forget. There's like a bunch of names, and like categorizing stuff just makes it easier for you to cheat. As soon as you categorize something, people can figure out how to be outside that box or cheat that box. So categorizing something for me doesn't always help. So when it comes to research, I have to politely say I don't know a lot about this stuff. And I'm getting the impression that people who were chased out of the area through potential Christianity were people who were doing rituals that were hurting people or animals. And there may have been good reason why all of a sudden it was just enough. And those those areas were reset for a different type of praise, a different type of human behavior. And this is going to keep happening. And uh you can probably think of some rituals that have been coming up and going again viral, talking about certain religious rituals that are happening around the world. Even right now is Lent, which is happening, which is this fast that the Catholics do. And I have mixed feelings about Lent, but St. Patrick's Day is also a very interesting interruption to this ritual of Catholicism, which is on that day to celebrate St. Patrick, I believe it was, they were allowed to have Lenten food, or which is what they weren't having during Lent. And it's in the middle of Lent. It's kind of like the halfway point or something like that of Lent, is this day for celebrating. So obviously, if you're a really strict Catholic, I don't believe you would be celebrating St. Patrick's Day because you'd be fasting for Lent. But it was like that moment where it like pushed itself into this Catholic ritual as this safe haven, almost a cultural safe haven, to kind of get that it's like a halfway point. It's like you could go and become tempted to do something that would hurt you, or you could refill with some nutrition from some grains. And that would be good, you know? Maybe you need that because your metabolism runs fast, and having some carbohydrates is going to be necessary. But it was just interesting that that had happened, and that was a part of the magic too. I see, and again, Ramadan starts, it was like right after Lent it starts. It's like a very similar time. But they did the ceasefire at the beginning. They scheduled it for the beginning of Ramadan. For Ramadan. So, and the specific timing of Ramadan and what's happening on the eclipse in April 8th, which is coming up, that is also a ritual. And there is also a mitzvah, I think, during that time. And it's about the mitzvah, but I don't know. I'm literally having to catch up on the Islamic faith and the Jewish Hebrew faith. Like, I don't even know what to call them because it's not in English, and like and they're old. But all I hear is like the Hindus, like don't forget about the Hindus. And like I'm learning and doing the reading and research of all the cultural influences of um, Islamic history and of Jewish history, but it's just a piece. And like the Hindu history is a whole other humongous piece. And there's this Samoa history even, and like the Polynesian Islander history, and like Lemurian, all that stuff. Like there's more history deeper in this stuff, but we don't want to talk about that right now. But yes, leprechauns also came up. So here's the deal. So before we get to leprechauns, I need to finish this thought. So St. Patrick is chasing, they say that they chase the snakes out of Ireland, right? But this is a this is a metaphor, and people have been arguing about what this metaphor means. But literally in that video I saw of the gentleman, don't even know his, I didn't know what his qualifications were to be speaking so boldly on the topic. But his energy struck me so hard was that his eyes were this green color and they were slitted like a snake. It was like a snake was going on, being like, St. Patrick chased these ancient druidic, ritualistic people out of Ireland, and he's promoting of a genocide, basically, is what was the claim. As I'm sitting there looking at this guy who is the most snake-like eyes I have ever seen, like one of the top 5 for sure, where I was just like, this homeboy's a snake. Like, you're pissed because he kicked your people out of a place that you were enjoying. It sounds like to me, like that was the overall vibe I got. And I have to be honest about that. Just again, if you were my kid or my younger sibling, I'd be fully honest and open with you and candid about this to show you how I truly felt to protect you. And like my radar's going off about this guy and his truth. And it went against what I had just researched, some of the stuff he was saying. It was like, okay, that's a little bit of a leap in my opinion. But I'm pretty sure the people who you think got genocided were already like, they were already in the cult of people killing people. So I think there's a little more of a conversation there. I think there's a little more back and forth necessary for that historical fact. So I just want to put that out there for those of you who maybe saw that viral video yesterday of the snake talking crap about St. Patrick. But it doesn't surprise me that he's upset, because it seems like there was some drama. There's some drama there. And ironically, St. Patrick's color is blue. And he used the shamrock to talk about the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, or the Triforce, or the concept of 3 in spirituality. That was one of the symbols that I saw was kind of woven in there with him once in a while. So it's kind of a part of the magic, in a way, of it is a Christian mystic kind of symbol, is that 3 clover, and the clover is Ireland in general. It's just everywhere. So they love it there. But he potentially used that symbol to talk about Christianity again. And the color green in general is known. You can Google this, like it's just there. I mean, all this stuff you can Google now. It's what I did. It's not that hard. But the color green apparently makes you invisible to the not so kind little creatures called the leprechauns. And the algorithm on TikTok started feeding me some viral videos about dried up little actual leprechauns, like that people had been keeping, some old ladies from Ireland keeping boxes full of little trinkets and natural stuff they find in nature. And I saw this little dried up little leprechaun guy and wasn't expecting to see that this month, but my algorithm fed it to me, and they got these gnarly little teeth. They're just, you could just tell they're just nasty little things, I'll be honest with you. And it does make sense why you'd want to avoid them. So wearing green apparently makes you invisible to them. So you can believe it or not, but I wear a lot of green when I go out. I wear a lot of green. I really do. I wear green all the time when I leave the house. It's like one of my favorite colors to leave the house in. I don't know why, but I think it's for good reason. And I've not had to deal with leprechauns trying to steal my gold, or my goodies, at least that I know of. So far, so good. But yes, these little beings are showing up, and in Mexico, they call them the duendes, I believe. And there are these like little beings, these little people. And I don't know if there's a specific color that throws off those homies, but those are the guys I live closer to in proximity. I don't live in Ireland where I'm dealing with the little leprechaun guys, but I think we have similar dudes out here. But the smaller beings, the humanoids that are tinier, it's very common. And I see them once in a while in my third eye, like vision. I'll sometimes see them it's hard to explain, but sometimes they're hang out around people. They're not really, that concerned with us. They have their own thing going on just like we do. But the little guys, you be careful with them, basically, You always just test your crowd, test your local crowd, see what's going on. I've done that here. There's their own stuff roaming around the desert out here, and I have my own precautions out. I put a wall of quartz all around the property as like this perimeter to kind of keep a higher vibrational wall around the house, and clouds and all the coyotes and everything just kind of morphs around us. But everything gets real close at the same time because it's good energy. So it's kind of like it's give and take. It's like the closeness with the one, it's impossible to get rid of that. You really are always around the energy of life. I think it's very hard to remove yourself from all of that. And working in cohesion with all of it, I think, is the key. And what is the trick to that? I think some good Christ conscious compassion. But I've got some comments here about didn't get pinched once. Very good. I'm glad you didn't get pinched. Very good. Are we even told the truth? Exactly. Very nice. So that was for the sake of St. Patrick. Definitely felt like there was some unfairness in a way going on with that character from what I had just genuinely researched. I wanted to know. I was like, what's the beef with this guy? Do we love him? Do we hate him? Should I channel him? Like, why is this happening? Why do we care? Why Ireland? So what's sitting behind me is the oldest structure pretty much in the world, is this big circular stone, above ground stone mound where they have this like grassy knoll on top. And it is called, I forget. One sec. I keep forgetting the name because I'm mixing up like 5 names in my head. It starts with an N. There it is. Newgrange. Newgrange is the structure. Newgrange was constructed about 5,200 years ago, which makes it older than Stonehenge and the Great Pyramids of Giza. The mound is ringed by 97 large curbstones, said with a K, K-E-R-B, curbstones, some of which are engraved with symbols called megalithic art. The most striking is the entrance stone. So this is in Boyne Valley, Ireland. They're saying it was built by Stone Age farmers, and it is 85 meters or 279 feet in diameter and 13 meters or 43 feet high. It's pretty big. It's pretty decent size. An area of about 1 acre. A passage measuring 62 feet or 19 meters leads into a chamber with 3 alcoves. The passage and chamber are aligned with the rising sun on the mornings around the winter solstice. So this is a winter solstice ritual place. Okay. So in Ireland, that'd be the 20th, 21st of December, right? So I'm going to keep reading. It is the jewel in the crown of Ireland's ancient East. Newgrange was constructed. Yes, we saw that part. La la la. It's built by a farming community that prospered on the rich lands of the Boyne Valley. Noath and Doath are similar mounds that, together with Newgrange, have been designated a World Heritage Site. It is a passage tomb, however, is now recognized to be much more than a tomb. It's a place of astrological, spiritual, religious, ceremonial importance, much as present day cathedrals. It is a large kidney-shaped mound covering an area of over 1 acre. Interesting. So I'm just going to see if there's anything else on here. So the big fancy stone that everyone likes is this oblong stone, and it has a whole bunch of like spirals on it, basically a bunch of spirals, which is, in my understanding of the electromagnetic field. And I'm assuming it's probably an electromagnetic field map. And I've been studying this for a little while, and I have friends who are very interested in mounds and this type of work. So I've learned more the last few years about this, but I'm going to show you my phone and see if you can see what I'm talking about here. But there's some spirals on this long rock in a way out front. So that's kind of the message, is that excavations have revealed deposits of both burnt and unburnt human bone in the passage, indicating human corpses were indeed placed within it, some of which have been cremated. So human parts for sure, burnt, unburnt, kind of going in that direction again, with what St. Patrick was maybe going, okay, we've had enough. I don't know. I don't know if this is really helping with the crops, actually. It just seems like you have less people to work the fields now. It's a little counterproductive to keep killing off all these people. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's kind of the direction society went. We do try and keep everybody around. But yeah, those of you watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, here's the Airbender symbol, basically. I know I've got a crack in my phone screen, but it's the screen protector technically. But there's the 3 spirals, the Triforce again, kind of energy, and they're all spiraling to clockwise in a way. Well, no, actually, if you start in the middle, they're going counterclockwise and then clockwise, and then looks like counterclockwise again. Interesting. No, it looks like, oh, that's tricky. They might all be going counterclockwise in there. So that's interesting too, to keep a note of. But these ancient structures are also evidence of how people used to behave, and how lucky we are now that that's not how we really do things, even on the public side of things. People are doing that privately on a much smaller scale, thank goodness. But even like you're understanding Haiti, and the problem with Haiti this month has arisen. And those of you who know the history, especially more recent history of Haiti, it's been absolutely ridiculous. The people are being like, they're having a lot of drama down there. It's not good, and it has been an influence of some very greedy, horrible people, it seems like. And these sort of things are being corrected now. But the let's see, the the drama of these places and of these practices are being upended and uprooted, because I would say the age that we're moving into, it's changing our priorities. It's changing our motives. And the motives that are running now are more, in a way, if I'm understanding correctly, a more Aquarian energy, which is about your unique luck, your unique flame, your unique spark. Like, Mozart and I were kind of getting to, is this understanding, this uniqueness is everyone has it. And there is this humanitarian energy where you have compassion for your fellow man. You appreciate them as a fellow piece of artwork, but it is a unique piece of artwork, and they have their luck and they have their misfortunes as well. And that is what makes them this composite, this composition of a human being, and this song, or this opera in themselves. Like, everyone is a walking opera. If you have a lot of great, I would say, experiences and you've gotten out there and you've really tackled the world, you probably could write an opera about some of the not so pleasant things you've learned and create some pretty interesting comebacks and some fortitude for society from the things you've learned. And this practice continues. And we're lucky that it does. We're lucky that this practice continues. And I believe now we're getting a ton of really good raw information about what we want to be making next and what sort of things we have the fortune to pass on in our time. And I'll be honest with you, we have been educated to a level that with public education, those of us who graduated and left public education before 2020, we were lucky to actually receive that education, because now since then, and a solar flare just happened that I'm saying that. So that's a confirmation. We just got an M class solar flare. An M1.46, it looks like. So mark it. I always get a solar flare when I'm doing videos. It's 7:33 p.m. here. So we've been going for an hour and a half. What was I saying? Shoot, I got distracted. I was saying, oh yeah, our education. So we got really lucky. We actually got really lucky to have this education. There's children who were basically robbed of a final stage of maturation and for the interest even continuing going into education, learning from other teachers and stuff in the established, environments. And they've kind of had to freeball it and start with street smarts and start learning online. And there's a ton of misinformation online, as you know. And in the universities and so on, they have to have their sources checked and their T's crossed and their I's dotted. Like there is some standards there in the education system. There really was. And now that has, in a way, melted. And I know there's going to be a comeback and there's going to be some education programs that rebuild stronger. But we are very lucky in a way that we had the education system the way we did, because we all kind of learned the same way, and we learned for a few generations, I would say at least 2 or 3, but that's over. It's over. The education system's it's not the same way anymore, and it doesn't hold the same level of trustworthiness. And in a way, the people have woken up. That has ended. And there's going to be other stuff in our lives that people are going to all of a sudden wake up and it's going to be over. And you're going to feel lucky that you had the opportunity to experience life with that thing. But now you have to move on and you have to progress. So, man, people feel lucky that they got to live in a world where they didn't have a cell phone. They feel very lucky. There's people who feel very lucky where they never had to. There's women who feel very lucky they never had to be expected to go to work. And they were expected to stay home and maintain the home and the children and the animals and whatever. There's people who feel very lucky they got to live in the time before many things that are happening right now. And to have that perspective of when things were less crazy and when everyone was wearing lingerie on stage at every award ceremony. There was a time when people wore suits and, gowns, and they were all covered up and, decently respectable and had wonderful vocabulary, pretty fantastic vocabulary, to people who were basically grunting in their lingerie on stage. And it's the same class of people in a way. It's the same group, and they have changed so much already in this time. And I feel lucky that I got to see some of I would say even the older way that they were, that society was wanting to fashion itself, the aesthetic of a society and how it's changed. I feel lucky that I got to see the world before 9/11. You know what I mean? I got to see the world before everyone had a computer. I got to see the world before people had cell phones, everyone. I got to see that. And I got to live in a world where I had to basically borrow a phone in somebody's house to get a hold of anybody if I needed something. And that was just normal and expected of everybody, that, you'd get a knock on the door for someone to, if they needed help. That was a little more normal. I I believe that we're going to be feeling reminiscent of the lucky things we got to deal with, because there are going to be tougher times ahead. And the pressure is on, and I know you feel it. And I want you to fortify that knowledge that you experienced life before this point, before 2020, to create that comparison, to create that template, to hold that template, I would say, of what you liked of the world before 2020, before quantum computing, before chat GPT, before AI artwork. You know what I'm saying? Because that's one of the fresh ones that you literally cannot tell now. Like, they're trying to lead up to the fact that all of the artwork for quite some time now could have been totally AI created. But anyways, like, we're lucky in a way to know that now, and to also relieve ourselves from how intense we take the appearance of evidence, photo evidence, especially written and data evidence. That's ridiculous to take that as 100%, especially from a point of authority or coercion, is just ridiculous. Like, numbers are the easiest thing to mess up, and so are conclusions in a study. Like, you can take one person's study's conclusion and explode it out and say it's the most popular, and it's not. So we're lucky to have the templates of times before now, and that is something that we should hold close in our hearts, and something that we purposefully held on to and cultivated, these nuggets, these golden nuggets. And now my heart's doing all this energy. Whoo! These golden nuggets that we collected from the times before now are essential to keeping us grounded through these next coming times. And I feel very lucky to be at that age where I have seen the before and after. I feel way more grounded and prepared for things to continue moving along, and for people continuing to attempt to tell the truth. Lineages of liars now working to tell the truth. And it's all these half truths, these jokes, this sarcasm is like, I can't even squeak it out, but they want to, but they don't even know how, because no one's told them the truth. Their whole lives, they're living this weird psychosis. It's true. I mean, gosh, what lies are you telling yourself? Literally, please. You're lucky to have this moment of clarity to go, hey, I've been lying to myself about this, this, and this, and I should stop. I should just tell myself the truth, and tell myself good truths, not just make up false truths, and tell those things to yourself, because we probably wouldn't agree with you. So it's a lie to us. But I feel very lucky that we have history as well, and people who are grounded in other time frames where human behavior all kind of happened the same, but the technology and the pressures to, man, I mean, perform for the level of inflation and competition that we have these days, even, it's similar, but not from those eras as well. It's that pressure that's always kept on society to keep us from going too bored and like going crazy, basically. That constant rat race, that wheel, is in a way also helping people from losing their minds. So this luck that we're fortifying today, I'm going to wrap up today's video with a meditation and with a reading for all of you, for your incoming luck and for promoting luck in your lives in more ways than you've been able to so far. So today, I just want to snap my fingers. You have progressed through to a new layer of your luck. Congratulations. You are accessing new opportunities that will make you feel very fortunate. Thanks to your participation in this workshop and our mutual energy, you are going to be accessing new layers of luck, as it must be. Now that I have said it, it is set in motion. I have planted that seed in your subconscious, And I would encourage you to plant these friendly seeds everywhere you go. And without jealousy, do not say, oh, you're so lucky, as in to try and almost tear someone down for their fortune, because that will tear you down 10 times. Never, ever do that, please. If you're noticing that you're envious of someone, it's because you have not shown up for yourself enough. And only you know what's going to make you truly happy. No one else is going to know. They're not going to know that what you're doing is their dream thing and you're extremely jealous. No, they're just doing their thing. Has nothing to do with you. You do your thing. And if people are starting to get jealous at you, just be like, hey, please, you need to go do your thing and make us impressed with what you're bringing to the table. Do it for us. Give us a reason to look at you with, the same way you're looking at others. You have it in you. Do something interesting. Abstract art is a thing. You could splash a whole bunch of colors of paint on an old brick wall, a dilapidated building, take a picture. It could go viral. You could become a world sensation. Like stuff like that happens all the time. Like the potential is within all of us. You just have to open up to it, allow it, enjoy it. Be like, I welcome lucky opportunities to come my way every day to bring a smile in my face and honor to my family. These are the sort of positive invocations you can bring into your day. Now, when it comes to ascended masters and people who have, in a way, graduated this place and have moved along and, put themselves in places of opportunity where they can continue getting lucky, and they eventually learn these great lessons and they continue being guidance for all of us. I was asking for which ascended master, in a way, I could work with to kind of round out this workshop and kind of bring in the energy, the healing energy, or the codes for today and for the reading. So before I do the reading for you and the final, whatever, the finale of today's workshop, I'm going to bring in Green Tara energy for you all. Green Tara is the supreme protection. So again, this is a throwback from last month. Supreme protection coming in. You are in great luck. You have supreme protection. You are protected. Cords are being cut. Move beyond limitation. Trust. Excellent. Excellent. Trust that you are lucky. Trust, 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 trust. Trust that you are so lucky. Okay, so we're going to sit in that moment, in that bliss. Okay, so we're going to I have a unique ability. I am lucky to have it. This ability is mine to cultivate and to share. I will remove myself as quickly as possible from all those who are interacting with me without my consent and who are bringing my vibration down unnecessarily. I am worthy of the time and the space of cultivating my light, my skill, and my fortune, my great fortunes. I am inheriting all of the good luck of this world and of my family line, so I may continue bringing them into higher and higher frequency opportunities. I'm here to uplift humanity, and I'm grateful that there are other lucky people around me, as it makes me feel more fortunate. Good luck is good to have. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, let's see. Now we are going to do our reading, everybody. Are you ready? Think deeply. We're going to get the final moments. These are the messages I don't know. This is stuff I haven't channeled. So this is going to be on the fly. for all of us, you and me. What is it that is necessary to bring up in this workshop that I have not discussed yet that will be of service to everybody who is here? What is it that we need to know in this workshop about luck? Ooh, excuse me. Okay. So I am working with the Carolyn Myss archetype cards. Another Christian mystic, I believe. Carolyn Myss, wonderful being. So here we go. The first card that I got was actually blank. So again, that makes me think that that is, again, your own unique energy that's coming up first. So this is what we're cultivating in this workshop, is this uniqueness that you should feel lucky about. You should know. Whatever it is, even if you're just slightly faster than somebody and you felt lucky to be so, that speed was yours. That was your uniqueness. Hold on to it. The second card out of 3 here. Hold on, I'm getting notifications. Something's going on. Another solar flare. Very nice. That's 2. 2-in-1 workshop. Very nice. Another M1.46, it looks like. Unless that's the old notification, but I think that's new. All right, so what does the solar flare want us to know? Oh, this theme came up in my last reading. It is actually coming up a lot. So, and it makes me think of who's behind me as well. I mean, kind of working with this theme energetically with the workshops as well, is the femme fatale archetype. Say that 10 times. It's French. Light attributes. So the archetype of the femme fatale. What are the positive or the light attributes? They highlight the erotic energy of the feminine. Opens your heart when your dependency is rejected. The shadow attribute of the femme fatale is inappropriate use of sensuality, attachment to money, and power. Okay, so when this comes to luck, how does this make you feel? The femme fatale theme. Interesting how the erotic energy of the feminine is coming up in a way to open the heart and sort of, I would say, empower the person with their sensual femininity, which can be, it makes you feel healthy. It makes you feel strong. When your sensuality is healthy, it is a good thing. It makes you feel creative. It makes you feel confident as a woman, but as a man as well too. You know, your inner feminine is your magnetic side. So it's how magnetic can you be? This woman has a fan in front of her face as a way to kind of hide herself a little bit, to make herself seem a little more alluring, a little more interesting. This is, again, like I said, what is this woman is doing is she's covering a little bit of her face. You can see both of her eyes. I want you to know I'm not trying to cover up any one eye or do anything creepy like that. Both eyes are visible. She's wearing a St. Patrick's Day mask with the 3-leaf clover, or the, I would say the Triforce, or like the trilogy, or the 3 forces of God. So anyways, this feminine energy, it brings you in. So this is a theme, I would say, that is something, again, to look out for, because if you see women who are using their sensuality to get sales, or they're using their sensuality to just attract more powerful people and try and get they're trying to dig their claws into someone powerful so they can feel more important than whoever it is they're competing with in the back of their mind, some girl back home that they thought were prettier than them, or their mom, or like their cousin, or something their uncle said. You know, there is this revenge energy almost with the femme fatale in the negative way, is to try and gain money and power using their sensuality, which can happen to women who have had who've been attacked and were blamed for being, seductive or too magnetic to resist. So you had to take them. And women can go two directions with that. They can completely shut down and stop using their feminine sensuality as a part of their expression, as a part of their personality, as a part of their aura. They hide it, they shield it. There's a lot of religions in the world where that is very common. And in the protection workshop, we talked about veiling when you felt it was necessary as a tool, but not veiling as a default because of some other societal pressure. So yeah, this one goes both ways. And I feel very lucky that I was born into a society that does not force me to veil myself or hide my femininity, and was no shame being born a woman. There was no shame growing up a woman, but there was danger. I was given the tools to watch out for predators who would take a young, innocent, small person. You know what I mean? I was trained to look out for predators as a child, and it served me what it served me. I was able to steer clear of them, spot them everywhere, and steer clear of them. But it definitely made me weary about using my feminine side. I would say my magnetic feminine sensuality, what I look like, what I move like, as any sort of pathway to share or sell my wares. And that has been a bit of a path weird for me. But it's a really great way for people to get to know you and know your true spark and feel your true energy, is to have your full body access to you, which is why going to conferences and psychic fairs and healing fairs and so on was something I did, so I could meet people in person and work with them, and so they would know me more than just a face. They would know me more than just what I looked like. And my personality could come through, but that can come through in a video like it is right now. And if you were having trouble with that, your luck may change if you would just step out and be who you really are and show your true heart chakra and share what you were so lucky to be born with the rest of us. So that is the next card, is the healer card, is the final message for this oracle reading today. The positive side of the healer archetype is passion to serve others by repairing the body, mind, and spirit. That's, again, body, mind, spirit. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, the three forces of the spirit, in a way, or of life, I should say, that we balance. The ability to help transform pain into healing. Okay. And the shadow attribute, or the shadow side of a healer, is taking advantage of those who need help and failing to care for oneself. So again, this is a great message. Again, if you're offering things to the world, you're offering a product, you're offering your healing skills, don't take advantage of people who are sick, who are in need, who are desperately in need of help. Like, this happens all the time. Doctors will take advantage of people who are sick and looking for answers. They will even give false information just because they know that you're so trusting of them that you'll stay a customer and you'll listen to them and you'll keep paying for the treatments and keep doing this and that, and they can keep hitting their own their own targets as a doctor in sales of the pharmaceuticals and so on. And I know about this side of things because my dad worked for a pharmaceutical sales company for most of my life, and he told me how it worked. He knew how it worked. I knew how the medical system worked before it kind of came out to a lot of people, because he witnessed it and he saw that he was speaking circles around doctors about the chemistry and the pharmaceutical advancements that he was genuinely trying to help people get to people. And it just showed, like, the healer in them was in the shadow side. Like these doctors, they were just taking advantage of people who needed help. They were just getting people in the door and fulfilling their quotas to the pharmaceutical companies. And they were not failing. They were also failing to care for themselves. So they were just decrepit. And these healers, like, there's so many of them out there who do not take good care of themselves. And to another level, there's layers to this. And I want to say, as your sister, a woman who was raised in these times where I didn't know better until I knew better. And I was raised that these things are all okay for the most part. But putting material on your nail beds, like nail polish or getting your nails done, it blocks your ability to move chi in and out of your hands a little bit. I'm pretty sure, like, the materials are either metal or plastic or, acrylic or gel. Like, it's the connection is broken. Like, the connection to the surface area of your nail is broken. Women and men who color their hair, like I have in the past, that in a way is a layer between you and your connection and your body. And women and men who get cosmetic surgery, like injections and plumpers and Botox and implants that are unnecessary to make themselves feel or look a way they think they should, is a way, in my opinion, that side of a healer that is the unhealed aspect of the healer. That is the shadow aspect. That is the failing to take care of oneself. So if you are seeking help, spiritual help especially, if you're seeking spiritual insight, if you're seeking a reading, if you're seeking advice, health advice, any of it from a healer, look at the healer you're dealing with and look at them. Assess them. Are you lucky with the eyes and the ears and the nose and the aura sensitivity to tap into the healer you're wanting to work with and see if they've been looking after themselves first? And if they seem tired, bitter, if they seem like they're slapping a bunch of paint on top of themselves, makeup and hair color or bleaching and nails, and they're doing all, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to have to be this woman. I literally worked in beauty and cosmetics. I am from that side. Like, I have changed teams, selling perfume, selling all skincare products, selling all makeup products you can think of, doing makeovers, doing people's makeup, putting that layers of that product on, which was expensive product, but what it's made out of is not materials that's good for your skin. It's not good for your epidermis, not good for your bloodstream, to a certain level that it toes the line, it tiptoes on being toxic and causing brain damage, literally. So that sucks, but it is true. And it's something that I need you to see in other people. I need you to be more careful and assessing about your health and who you're letting access to your healthy self as well, or your healing self. And of course, there is, like I said, there is gold nuggets in every single person, no matter if they're painted up like a literal clown. They have wisdom in there, and they have their own sense of luck. They have their own skills, their own charisma. Of course, you can get something of value, I'm pretty sure, out of every single person in the world. But if you want to be healthier and more connected to your spirit and to nature and to the flow of the universe, I would encourage you again to take heed to what I said. As a woman, I can say this. Watch out for the femme fatales that are luring you in by being all looks and all sex, I would say, or sensuality, luring you in, thinking that their cup is overflowing and they're boisterous and they have something for you, I would say think twice, because that is a very common method of women and to lure in and magnetize opportunities and to get lucky, or in the terms, make luck work out for them or force luck to work out for. Sorry, I lost you there. Um, almost lost you. So, really good archetypal message for tonight and for increasing our luck overall. The tarot says the Nine of Cups and the King of Wands. So, the Nine of Water is your wish fulfillment. Wish fulfillment, luxury, satisfaction, success, gratitude. You've struggled with finding purpose and comfort after a loss. This journey has been long and arduous, but you finally reached a point where you're feeling joy again. Profound happiness is in your future. Now is a great time to chase any dreams that you have. Yes. Okay, you guys, we're going to chase our dreams. You excited? Okay, this is good. So, profound happiness. Let's just say that together. Profound happiness. We are capable and experiencing profound happiness. I love that. Satisfaction. Okay. And then the King of Wands, the King of Fire. Motivation, leadership, entrepreneurship. Sorry, excuse me. Got a little excited there. A little extra words in there. The King of Wands is a natural born leader of people and very capable and confident in their abilities. The king isn't interested in creativity per se, but rather taking an idea and enlisting others to help in the actualization of it. You have a clear vision of what you want. Okay, so this is a final message, you guys. Final message. So we got through the crap. We don't want you seducing people for their power and not taking care of yourself and like thinking that slapping all this toxic crap on you is taking care of yourself, when instead just like going to a hot spring and like drinking spring water and like sea moss, bathing with Dead Sea salts and thinking positive thoughts, eating all natural foods and blah, blah, blah. That's how we're getting that health. That's how we're overflowing our health. And in that sense, with that overflow, with that spark and our heart chakra starting to lighten up and our chests open and beaming with, real availability, real showing up to the environment, not just there for the vanity of it, but really showing up and being present to serve. You will do so with great leadership and with great satisfaction to, I would say, acquire profound happiness and lead with a joyful motivation. So this joyful motivation is profound. This is what I wish to instill with you in this workshop today, and to know that you are supremely lucky and that you have invested in your luck on purpose so you can truly believe the next moment of luck you are going to receive, because you'll know you have deserved it because you put this work in to make it so. You put the intention in, you put the extra work in. So let's tap that into your chest right now. I am supremely lucky. Very nice. I experience profound happiness. I lead with honor and bliss. My heart chakra is open. I am a shining light of unique awesomeness. And I know where to recharge my heart when I need a boost. So, where is it and what is it that recharges your heart when you need those boosts? And the most natural and loving and spiritually aligned thing that you can think of, what is that? I'm thinking about snorkeling. That's a good one. I'm thinking about making food, fresh food. That's a good way to enliven my heart. I'm thinking about laughing really loudly. I'm thinking about yelling joyfully, actually. Really getting loud. Feels good. Get my heart going. Painting, I guess, is one of them. Listening to Mozart, listening to classical music, and honestly, doing my writing and channeling and doing this work. It truly brings me hope. So I hope that this workshop was able to bring up and stir up the energies inside you that will bring you this profound happiness and these levels of good luck and fortune that you have yet to see, but you are now open. Your heart is now open to love and enjoy it when it does happen. All right, very nice. Just a crazy share. I got counseled for being too happy at my place of enjoyment. Very nice. Oh, outside in the greenery brings your heart open. Very good. You're nearby some chimpanzees. That's very cool. Very interesting. Yes. We're all cut from the same cloth, us and these are ape cousins. So, you know, maybe that's not your best of luck today. The King of Wands makes me think of mastery over your thoughts and your words. Very nice. Very nice. It blows my mind how many spiritual content creators are regularly getting their nails, altered, I should say. And again, it's a personal artistic preference, sure, but I know I'm not going to be receiving Reiki from somebody. If somebody's like, hey, let me do energy work on you with, their nails like that. I'm sorry. I've moved past that layer where I'm like, you know what? I'm okay. I'll use my hands on myself and you use your hands on yourself. You can say that you're all natural and it's hard. Like I grew up in the under the scrutiny of you need to have your hair perfect, you need to have your nails perfect, your skin perfect, your teeth perfect, your outfit perfect. It's got to look expensive. It's got to be well maintained and it's got to look nicer than everyone else's. Like I was raised that way and I would ask, "Is this okay?" and before I leave the house and I'd get no, do, touch up a little more, put on a little more makeup. I lived that. So I can say it, be like, hey, I had to ditch these things. I'm wearing all natural makeup. There's a company from Australia that I discovered that does all natural ingredients. I have them, I ship my makeup up here every once in a while. I don't wear a lot of it, but like I used to have blue hair and I want to color it again, but a part of me is like, I can't, like I can't do it anymore. But yeah, it's a part of it. The you It's tricky. And I really don't want to hate on anybody because it's such a tricky topic, but I really like if you're not satisfied and you're doing cosmetic things to yourself, it just seems like you have a little bit too much time on your hands almost, and like that energy can be redirected. potentially to more service to others and getting your hands dirty, gardening, working with animals, working with children, building things, picking up garbage. I mean, women will refuse tasks because their nails are a certain way. And I don't believe that that's right. I think that that is, in a way, it's a dishonor to womankind in a way to lose contact with the capacity of your hands. Here we go. Flares are popping off. Yeah. Excellent. So I'm just reading the comments. Oh, we're talking about the firmament. Very nice. Very good. Woo, here's a question. Thank you for the shout out, channeling the celebrities. It was interesting because this particular workshop, I had a lot kind of randomly come in, but they like came and they left. So I think that some of the beings that want to talk to us haven't figured quite out how. But one of those was Elvis, and that one was really tricky. I wasn't able to nail that one down, but I did see that the Dune 2 movie, everyone was talking about there was some sort of Elvis like character in the Dune 2 film. I don't understand what they mean by that, but it was very like interesting. Like, oh, there he is again. Like, there's Elvis again. So Elvis actually had a lot of music. He had quite a few titles that he sang, whatever the songs were, whoever wrote them, I'm not sure. But a lot of them had the word luck in them. And his songs were kind of like, it was kind of almost inappropriate, the language. It gets a little bit like, and he married a woman that kind of groomed from childhood, it seemed like. Like in my books, it wasn't exactly somebody I want to engage with because I don't want to engage with somebody who would be comfortable grooming a little girl to marry them. You know what I mean? Because that could have happened to me. It could have happened to my sister. I'm a woman. I feel that. It's like easily I could have been groomed into so many things. I was just helpless, and so many girls are. And so that was tricky. And I don't know what context he's brought in the movie, but it'd be interesting if it had something to do with that theme. But he's saying a lot about luck, which is interesting. There's like 3 songs, if not more, with the word luck in it or in the title of the actual song that Elvis sings. So that's just one of the notes. It was like, I think he worked with the magic of luck a little more. And again, there is ancient magic and stuff. Like there is some dark stuff, and I don't know any of it. And I'm not really even that interested in researching it, but it comes at me and I learn things. But to try and use the word luck against you or to use it in a negative form, it isn't the more popular way, and it's more useful to say misfortune. You either have a fortune or a misfortune. Luck is actually a word that is derived from, I believe, the word light, and also is a Celtic deity as well. So bringing that again back to the lands of Ireland, the word comes in and it works with the language, and it means light, and these are deities of light. And so I did get a little bit more of that research in, and those were the little extra tidbits that I wanted to throw into this workshop just to continue with the theme and get a few more words in while I read the rest of your comments before I finish up today's workshop and close it up for all eternity and move on to our next theme next month on the 18th. On April 18th is going to be an amazing workshop because it's going to be after the eclipse, which is going to be a huge situation in the next few days, like big time. So those of you watching me live, just be aware that everything now is about to shift gears to the eclipse April 8th. And like, that's what I've been waiting months for. And those of you who've been watching me have been aware of that, but I've been aware and been really preparing since like the summer last year for this eclipse and all of the happenings that are going to go on in the line of totality in the United States. So this is the big one. So this is also going to be the time where you're going to be lucky enough to see all of the charlatans, all of them. They're all going to use this opportunity, this power, and they're going to use it to turn the focus onto them, right? They're going to take it and they're going to turn the focus. Look at me. Oh, the eclipse. Look at me. Oh, there's an eclipse coming. Look at me. It's going to happen. You're going to see it. Look at me in my, rainbow hair, the spiritual, I want to say tattoos is a middle ground. It's a tricky one, but like your spiritual lip plump injections and your spiritual, polyester outfit glitter. Like it's so tricky. It's so tricky because natural materials are awesome. And we've been so tricked out of using and trading natural materials in fashion and everything. And that's coming back. Like so much so it's been crazy. They moved everything to like aluminum and plastic. And like that's what everyone's wearing in the West. And all the natural materials are like, we're like finally like, give me linens, give me wool, give me cotton, give me wood, give me gold, silver, bronze, copper, like all of these materials that we used to wear and trade naturally. Like it's just not even really a thing as much. So just watch out for that. Watch out for people who are trying to be something, trying to be some sort of flashy, great thing. And maybe just go for people who are being more human because they, I think, maybe have a better idea about, who they are and what they are and what they bring to the table. And they're going to be a little more grounded and trustworthy, probably, in business interactions. And you'll have probably better luck with those types of people than you do with the people who are clearly turning the lens on themselves and manipulating and unhappy with the way that they were born to look and have done things dramatically to try and change or look like someone else that they know or admire. That was a big theme coming in. So I don't know if Mozart was big into that, which is interesting. I could do more research about that. But to try and be jealous of what someone else has and try and do backhanded things to take things from other people or get things that other people have, it's not going to work out. And your luck it's not going to turn out lucky for you, most likely. And if it does, it'll probably come around. And so guarantee that you have a lucky life by living with the utmost morality that you can. And you will watch people fall and drop like flies, and you'll watch flies drop like flies around you, even because you can stand in your morality. And it's not easy. Like many of us get tested, and I've been tested, and it's tricky. And I'm not perfect, and I've not been perfect. I'm seeking to do better and live a healthier life. And I'm training to be a guardian of the earth and of our future generations and take the best care of myself and everyone I can. And that's what these workshops are here to promote. So thank you again for joining me for this March's, workshop. I had a lot of fun channeling this information. And for the rest of March, I'm going to be sending articles and information to the Patreon followers to continue up with this study and of this training of luck this month. And when the month switches over and we're into April, I will invite you to the next workshop, the next 18th for April, and we will meet up again. We will discuss, and I'm really interested to see who is going to be our celebrity guest for April, because wow, it could be Jesus Christ. Like it's going to be, it might be someone very interesting. And I wasn't expecting Mozart last time. I don't know what to expect this time, but now that this workshop is finishing, it's like it's done and I get to start with new energy, and it's going to be who will be next, who's going to come teach me next and, teach us next through this channel. I'm curious. I'm very curious. And there's a lot of drama going on with the royal family, of the British royal family right now too. So maybe it'll have something to do with that. we will see. So thank you all again for your feedback, your support, for your interest. I'm continuing to develop Ascension Diaries. There's going to be better infrastructure later this year and more opportunities for us to gather and have these conversations and channel in these interesting celebrity guests as well. So again, if you'd like a reading, go to ascensiondiaries.com. I have readings for you and me. I have coaching over a span of time. I have readings that you can buy for a friend or a loved one. And I have readings that we will do and I will post publicly for a reduced price to be able to give demonstrations on doing regular psychic medium sessions with people. So more transparency in my work and using Ascension Diaries to share my growth and my healer abilities and my offers and my femme fatale in a positive way with the knowledge I have. So my supremely lucky and what was the other word? Profoundly happy audience. I leave you with the green energy of our hearts together. And we are pursuing a less vain and a more service to others vibe as we lead onward through our example and with our great luck. We are right about at the spring equinox. That's right. We are pretty much there. So happy equinox, everybody. Equal light, equal night in the world we're experiencing right now. We have this equality on our planet. Great luck to all of us. Equal favor for all of us with the sun's gaze and the sun's love. It's a very lucky time. Aha. You're very welcome. I'm just making sure I don't miss any of your comments before I go. I'm so appreciative of all of you here helping me make this workshop fantastic as you do every month. Mahalo. Mahalo plenty. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you, Willow, for being here. Love, love, love you all so much. Yes. Very nice. And protect against pesticides. Final note for all of our little beings out there and all of the nature spirits, our trees and our fellow chlorophyll cousins who are breathing out our oxygen. We love you and we do not want to poison you any longer. We wish for biodiversity to have more natural means of organization here. So no spraying any pesticides, you guys, and put up some signage, bring some awareness, share some posts about it. That's the final thing. And look into these old structures and mounds that are near you and your ancestral lands. Look into those and research those more. It could help with your luck. You know, there's plenty of weird beliefs out there. And if you believe that something's not good, then you will believe something's not good. But if you believe that it has potential to get better, that belief is very healthy. So I believe that everything has the potential to get better. And I'm living with that intention as an optimist out here. Love, love, love you all. Long, long time. And PIP, protect against pesticides, y'all. I love you. And I will see you on the next one. Ta-ta for now.